know he came earlier than you thought and not when and where. And so could you kind of talk about maybe a little bit of, so you're in Texas for the governor's energy conference.
Right.
What happened?
And he really wasn't due for 4 or 5 weeks later. And while I was at the energy conference, felt perfectly fine, but had thought maybe a few things were starting to progress a little bit, that perhaps there was an idea there that maybe he'd come a little bit early. So called my doctor at about 4 in the morning in Texas, and I said, you know, I'm going to stay for the day here at the energy conference, have a speech that I was determined to give at 1 o'clock that afternoon, and had Todd check on a couple of flights that were earlier than we had scheduled. I decided it would be okay to skip the reception that night. That we'd already, by that time, have taken care of our meetings and my speech. So Todd checked on flights. A flight allowed us to get out a little bit earlier than we had planned, skip the reception, and called my doctor before I got on the plane to say, yeah, we think that we will come home a few hours early. And she said, okay, well, call when you land, and I'll check you out. But none of my babies had been early, and being my 5th child, I know what labor feels like. And if I had felt at all that I was really engaged in labor activities, I would not have desired to fly and get back to deliver in Alaska. But anyway, so, no real huge labor signs. Landed in Anchorage at about 10:30, got out to the valley at 11:30, and she met us at the hospital, checked me out, and said, yeah, you may have it tonight or in the morning. And it was smooth. It was relatively easy. In fact, it was very easy, the easiest out of all of them because it was so tiny. And it's been absolutely wonderful. And it just all seemed meant to be. The logistics and everything else just worked out so perfectly. And to us, he's absolutely perfect too.
Of course, you're back to work already today and actually signed the bill that day, right?
That day, yeah, staff came out to the hospital and I signed a bill there so that I could make sure that we transmitted that in time. And then here today also, we have some important OG updates that I didn't want to miss, so that was good. And again, he's just doing so well that it's been easy and relaxing, and again, all it seems just meant to be this way.
When you said you felt some signs of labor, what were those signs?
Well, not contractions so much, because I had Braxton-Hicks contractions for months, as every pregnant woman does, and nothing real painful, but just knowing that it was feeling like I may not be able to be pregnant a whole another 4 or 5 weeks, knowing that it would be not a bother to call our doctor and let her know. And she's delivered, how many babies over the years did she say? A lot. It's been a couple decades of her delivering babies. We knew to call her and just get her advice. And from there, we just, again, decided to skip the energy conference reception and come on home and get checked out.
So did your water break?
Well, if you must know more of those type of details.
But your dad said that, and I saw him say it, so that's why I asked.
Well, that was, again, if I must get personal, technical about this at the same time, it was a sign that I knew could lead to labor being kind of kicked in there, was any kind of amniotic fluid leaking. So when that happened, we decided, okay, let's call her.
There's a lot of new doctors out there on the streets in the last couple of days.
Yeah, that's significant too. Todd said, after getting a couple of comments, he said that. He says, wow, now everybody's a doctor. Everybody's going to tell us what we could have or should have done. And even though these folks, especially the critics, they're not doctors. They didn't know the situation. They don't know the situation. They certainly don't know our doctor and the consultations that we've had with her. So we did nothing to put our child or anyone else in danger. Going through this 5 times, I know what labor is, and I'm not a glutton for pain and punishment. I would have never wanted to travel had I been fully engaged in labor.
In the family statement that was issued that day, it said that through early testing you knew that you would have some special needs.
Right.
Can you explain?
Yeah. Well, he's got that extra chromosome. He has Down syndrome, and you can't tell at this stage by looking, but there are some characteristics there that I think will become more apparent, but just absolutely perfect in our eyes, and we're just very, very, very blessed. And it's a perfect situation for us. When we first heard, it was, kind of confusing, and at first blush, hearing the news, it was, it was received by me for a couple hours there after hearing the news as very, very challenging, even sad that day, but just knowing that there's purpose in every situation. There's certainly good purpose in every child, and just knowing that we should feel blessed that God would choose us to bring this child into the world, and we have hopes and dreams for him, as we have with all of our children. We look forward to seeing the hopes and the dreams for Trig fulfilled.
What does it mean for you as parents, and in your role as parents? What do you do with him?
Well, I think very significant here is the role that family and our extended family will be playing in raising Trig. Our older kids are absolutely in love with him right off the bat. I was so proud of the way that the kids reacted, and our son especially, receiving a text message from him right away when he found out that the baby was born. He says, despite or in spite of any kind of challenge, he goes, "This is just so cool. I finally got my brother. 18 years later, I finally got a brother." So with the kids just being very much in love with him and adoring him and already very protective of him, it seems, I think the family's role here is going to be real important in the way that Trig is raised and treated. And again, it just feels like he fits perfectly. He's supposed to be here with us.
Will he need more time, from you all than your other babies did, do you think?
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And you mentioned extended family, your parents, siblings.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of people, a lot of support.
Yeah, we sure do.
A lot of support. And that we're getting tons of emails today from families with special needs children. It's very encouraging when they give us, some of their life experiences dealing with the special needs children. So all across the nation actually today. So it's been pretty fun reading those emails.
In fact, Todd was reading the emails from people from throughout the United States with their own encouragement and encouraging stories that they have about either a child that they have or that they know with Down syndrome, and what a blessing the child is. And Todd says, "Okay, I'm determined. I'm going to read these emails instead of the blog from here on out." I said, "Please do," because the emails have been very, very nice.
Obviously, it's hard to, be in this position where you have to take care of the whole state and also take care of your family. How are you going to balance that with, a new baby now?
Again, with that help from the extended family and having, big siblings for this child, that makes kind of the practical aspects of having a new one in the house much easier, much more convenient. And thankfully, I have a husband who loves being a dad as much as I love being a mom, and Todd really goes above and beyond with all the help with the kids he always has. So I'm not worried about it at all, not having enough hours in the day or enough energy or enough motivation to do both jobs. I'm 100% confident that everything's going to be taken care of.
And Todd, how does it feel to be a new daddy again?
It's just it's amazing. It's a huge blessing to our family, and excited about having another boy. Our oldest turned 19 yesterday. I was trying to have her hang in there for a couple of days so we could have both our boys have the same birthday, so we knock it all out in one day.
Yeah.
So,
And Track's in the service now. When he texted you,
He is.
where is he right now?
In Fort Wainwright. So early yesterday morning, two mornings ago, yeah, he got to drive down real quick and spent a couple of hours getting to see his baby brother. He brought a couple of soldier friends with him. A couple had never held a newborn before, so that was kind of fun. See these big, tough soldiers holding this itty-bitty baby in their arms, and they just thought it was really special, really neat. So it was really neat to have the whole family there.
Are you going to take a maternity leave?
No.
You're going to be. I mean, you're obviously back today.
Yeah, I'll be able to bring Trig with me to many of the meetings and events and parts of the job here that I'm engaged in, and just working it around Trig either being here with me in these early days, as I did the last one with Piper when I was mayor of Wasilla. She was with me so often, and between that and then having help with the 3 different sets of grandparents and all the aunts and uncles, everything's going to be taken care of.
And then I know the other kids are named after Alaskan.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with his name?
Trig is a family name on Todd's side, a Bristol Bay relative named Trig, and I've always loved the name, and it's a Norwegian name that means true and brave victory. So, I had that name in my heart for, especially once hearing about challenges that Trig probably will be facing. I knew the name would fit. And then Paxton is his middle name, because that's an
great place to go riding and
awesome
excellent
area.
hunting.
Yeah, it is. It's a great hunting area. It is. It's God's country out there in Paxton. And then we've always liked the name Van Palin. So we just combined it all. Yeah. And the kids voted and had their own ideas, and we got so many cool suggestions from across the state, of course, lots of Alaskan names, and got an email from an official in the NRA today saying, oh, they're going to love the name Trig. That, their interpretation of what Trig meant was, it's them. Anyway.
And just a clarification, you flew commercial Alaska Airlines?
Yeah.
And this was something else I think I heard your father say, I just want to clarify, did you have to hide your pregnancy because you were so far along?
Well, I never felt, nor do some people say that I ever looked like I was that far along. So no purposeful way or need to hide that I was pregnant. I know that some airlines would have some hesitancy on letting maybe a 9-month pregnant person get on board, but it wasn't 9 months, so there's...
And you didn't tell them that you were feeling something when you came back on the plane?
No need to, because I wasn't feeling at all like I was in labor. In fact, I wasn't 1 or maybe 2 contractions an hour that felt just like Braxton-Hicks, which I've been having for months. That doesn't constitute labor, so...
Guys, we got to wrap it up, so I just have to take a quick picture, and then she's got to go.
It just was it important to you, though, to have the baby in Alaska?
It was very important that we have. It was more important that Trig arrive safely and healthy, and that is exactly what happened. The extra blessing was that Trig was able to be born into this great state. I feel like the extended Alaskan family, that he was here for that.
Can't have a fish picker from Texas.